Hello and welcome to the Wednesday check-in here on Landy's Crypto Corner. Today is March 5th, 2025, and we got our bounce off the lower second standard deviation. This was a scenario that I talked about on Monday. Now, just for some reference, today is Wednesday, but we do have the Thursday candle open, of course. We also saw that we have a closing higher low now. And this should be pretty interesting. We did get the nice volatility expansion down. I had talked about the mean reversion and then the retest of the lower second. We managed to get that, and then Bitcoin actually had a close open above this lower first standard deviation away from the 20 simple, right around $87,000. Now, this is probably more like 86.5 if Bitcoin does come back down here, but we do have a higher low. All right, so this is a valid higher low swing with a valid higher low close on the close above that $89,000 there, which was the Tuesday candle. So what do we need to see from here if we're bullish? If you're bullish, you need to see, you want to see the bulls take out 95, 130 up here on a closing basis. They're still not out of the woods, but that would start to break the downtrending structure, of course, coming off of a higher low swing and close. Now, I would still argue Bitcoin below this high over here, 99.5 to 100 and to $101,000, quite honestly, is still going to be a challenge for the bulls if this low side structure holds up. So what we're looking for beyond this is fairly simple as well. We can go ahead and look at the daily here. We've got the $85,000 emergency level that was deviated, obviously in a big way towards a range fib pull from the other structure there on expansion, found it as resistance, and then found this as support before wicking through down to that lower second again. And then where do we have price closing? Right between our macro Fibonacci extension levels, the 1.168 or 16.8% above the prior cycle high at $69,000 when you do a fib pull from the all-time high of last cycle down to the bear market of 2022 at 15.5. We have our 88,700 level. You can call it $89,000 because that is where the weekly higher low is. And then, of course, we have the basis band lining up right there at $92,000 for the daily here. So, again, same kind of thing. We need to see Bitcoin closing lower term timeframes above $92,000 and definitely need to recover that weekly. That is a weekly close open higher low, and that is at the $93,500. Now, if Bitcoin does close above it, it's still in closing higher low position, even though it has lower low swings. We'll talk about that more on, I might have to move Friday's video, but we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully I can get that done on Friday. But there are a few that would be an odd one to miss, I know, but there are some things going on. So, but maybe what I'll try to do is maybe it'll just be a little bit later in the day and not right after the close. But this is pretty straightforward stuff. Let's just kind of go back in time a little bit here, and well, not back in time. Let's change this chart up a little bit. We're at resistance, right? So Bitcoin is at resistance. It swung resistance. There's still a main level overhead there at the deep $95,000 to $96,000 area overhead. But in terms of getting into the range, you do want to see, bulls want to see closes hang out above this higher low over here. Otherwise, Bitcoin is trapped in between macro resistance and what could be seen as support that needs to be retested in a wider fashion. So that's why you're getting a lot of people on the timeline calling for like 68 to the prior cycle, the prior consolidation highs. So like 68,000, maybe even slightly under to, like 73,835, which was the prior high of that range down here on spot price. But let's go ahead and kind of contextualize the range fib pull again. I know that some had asked me about this, and give me just a moment here. This isn't my normal computer, so I apologize. I did bring my really clicky mouse though, so you're welcome for that. You can hear it clicking in the background there. All right, so we had the 1618 that was kind of the support up here. This is right where Bitcoin ran to on Sunday, last Sunday, and then dumped out right below the 1414. Of course, we did see that wick below to $78,000. This is a 1.168, but in this time it's from this prior consolidation structure. So, there is areas of interest that Bitcoin did just hit and, for now has held. But it's still a downtrend. We need to see this higher low turn into higher highs on closes above that $95,000, that 1.618 or 61.8% above this particular pull over here. And then, of course, that is a Fibonacci number. Same goes for the 272 on this side. So, we're kind of flipping them around, and in this regard, the 382, sorry, the 212, 272. Yeah, I can't do math today. I am a little bit under the weather. Let's actually take a fib pull from the high down and see where there is some areas of interest. So right above, like right in our zone there that we have marked on our support and resistance chart is $96,000. Playing back towards this 382. Yeah, so even if Bitcoin does close back in the bottom side of this range, it's got some work to do. And of course, we want to see structure being built. We got the higher low. Let's see if it can make a higher high. Otherwise, pay attention to this to this higher low structure, right? If this turns into a lower high relative to the $95,000 or 95,130 lower high over here, then we're looking for another lower high to be broken while holding the higher low structure at minimum on the swing low at 81,444. Now, of course, we were looking for that $80,000 to $82,000 to get hit, somewhere around Tuesday, Wednesday, and of course it did hit that area on Tuesday and then start heading up. We have Powell speaking. What is it? Friday? Is he going to be speaking the same day as the crypto summit? Yeah, he is. And rate decisions. I apologize. I had said Wednesday. I'm a little discombobulated, so bear with me on that kind of stuff. Let's go ahead and take a look at the more macro picture here. I've mentioned this before, and I know that some have asked me questions about this, either on Spaces or in DMs. This is still compression on the weekly. I know that it's a breakdown to the downside, but it's all about closes, right? So wicks can kind of land anywhere, landing by that lower first standard deviation. You see the bands are in a compression phase right now. And until we see closes below the lower first, I'm not really interested in terms of any kind of expansive posture. Wicks can land anywhere, even down to the lower second here, which is now coming in right at this high right here at 73,835 or so. Really can land anywhere, but it's all about the closes when initiating expansion for the weekly again. So I am going to keep a close eye coming into Friday, and then again Sunday on this 83.5 or so, and the upper first up here above the basis here, which is going to be 103 essentially. Nice buybacks. I will say that if Bitcoin gets bought up above like 93.5, this higher low right here on the weekly, and it's a closing higher low. It did put that higher low close in on the in the beginning of January here, or middle of January, kind of beginning to middle of January. So, this is a compression phase, and we have to see, we're going to get a very clear indication of which way this is going to go longer term. I'm still very bullish. Longer term structure is fine. Just to kind of relate this back to the upper first standard deviation, it's kind of where Bitcoin is hanging out on a monthly time frame. So we have, upper first is right around $85,000. And then the upper second's right there around 107.5. If Bitcoin does continue to move up, it's probably going to be around 108, maybe even 110 if it starts pushing past it, because it will slightly adjust while the candle is still open here. But nice, it's higher low structure here. Everything's fine. I know that many are not very happy. International markets got a bounce, a much needed bounce. And they were begging for a bounce. The poor traditional market traders were begging for a bounce, and they did get that in Dow. Doesn't do much. Still a very powerful downtrend. Still an expansion. I think Nasdaq also got a bounce. Couldn't set the low, but it can closes above 20,700 or so. And then SPY, what do we need for a low to be set? And still a very powerful downtrend on expansion. We need to see close above 585. So that would at least set a low. Then we see kind of where things go. I am checking out traditional markets because there is, a lot of interest in what's going on concerning, the economic policies of the current administration. Many are like freaking out that it's like a bear market, and it's like you literally just coming off all-time highs for SPY and NASDAQ, so chill. 580 is going to be the momentum pivot. Need to close above that for SPY. NASDAQ, we're looking at 20,630 was the close, and 20,350 is going to be the pivot. So this should turn up if there is a green day. And then we've got Dow Jones, 42,656. So closing above 300. We should see this get its continuation up. I'm actually curious about like the 2-day. Yeah, still pressure down, and pressure down. So let's actually take a look at Bitcoin real quick on the 2-day. This might give us a little bit of information. We're going to look at the daily yet, but not right this second. So there is a bit of momentum divergence between those. You can play those on regular Stoke momentum indicators. I wouldn't really be using that for like a Stoke RSI, but we'll take a look at RSI. 82, 400 to 500 is going to be the momentum pivot. We see the initial push, the initial expansion down. Oh, this is interesting. So as price rises towards this basis with this new 2-day open, this is likely going to be around $95,000. So right there at the high. Again, kind of supporting that we need to see Bitcoin trade back in and hold that strong half of the bands. Even if it comes back down for a retest, start closing in that strong half of the bands for like a 2-day and daily. Let's go ahead and look at, we have a little bit of a cool down, big consolidation to expansion. Again, this is still a downtrend. Just because it put in a higher low doesn't mean anything until it breaks the last lower high, right? Whether it's the one at 95 or if it paints another one, holds the low, you need to see the lower high break. 84,844. So just below $85,000. Momentum would turn back down for Bitcoin in this case. So look, the easiest thing to look at right now, bulls, you want to see closes remain above, basically 81.5. And from here, you want to see 95 taken out on a close. That would be a trend reversal setup with a higher low and a higher high. And then we look for longer term trend to form. Yeah, and I really need to see, the range recovered on the weekly, and we want to see closes above that weekly higher low at 93.5. So that's kind of where I'm at on this. I would actually look really bullish, by the way, if Bitcoin closes the weekly above 93.5, as it did last week. So that would actually start to really look dangerous for the bears. At minimum, they might have time to reposition, but I would expect price to start running the highs 95.5 to the overhead resistance here, at least the bottom side at that $100 and $1,000 or so, and possibly start loading up the next leg on longer term time frames. Never know. But I'm going to leave you there. And if you have any questions, go ahead and post in the comments down below. For those asking, the landing bands indicator is in the link in the video description on YouTube. It is in my bit.ly link in the the profile bio here on X. So you can go ahead and grab it there. And have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening, no matter where you are in the world. Please trade safe. And of course, as always, stay safe. With all that being said, Landy out. Take care.